Hundreds of hopeful souls, now prisoners of their own desperation. The first game had decimated their ranks, leaving a chilling emptiness in its wake. A sea of green tracksuits, stained with the blood and terror of the fallen. We stood, a smaller, more terrified group, facing our next trial. A playground game, twisted into a matter of life and death. Dalgona. The air hung heavy with fear. The carefree laughter of children, replaced by choked sobs and whispered prayers. I could feel the blood pounding in my ears, a drumbeat of anxiety echoing the frantic pounding of my heart. The enormity of our situation, the sheer brutality of it all, threatened to crush me. We were cattle being herded, branded with fear and desperation. The guards, faceless behind their masks, watched our every move, their silence more terrifying than any scream. Every rustle of fabric, every choked gasp, amplified the tension that held us captive. We were players in a game we never agreed to play, gambling with our lives for a prize we could barely comprehend. The rules were deceptively simple. Each player receives a brittle honeycomb toffee, imprinted with a shape, a circle, a triangle, a star, or the dreaded umbrella. Our task, to extract the shape intact using only a needle. Fail, and the penalty is swift and absolute. The simplicity of the game did nothing to quell the terror that gnawed at my insides. The fragility of the honeycomb mirrored the fragility of our lives, hanging by a thread as thin as the needle in our trembling hands. Each breath felt like a stolen moment, each second stretched into an eternity. The guards distributed the honeycomb candies with an almost ceremonial reverence. The air crackled with anticipation, a collective holding of breath as we received our fates. My fingers closed around the cold, brittle disc, the sharp edges digging into my palm. A star. My fate rested on a star. Panic rippled through the crowd. Some wept openly, their cries swallowed by the vastness of the arena. Others bargained, pleaded, their voices hoarse with terror. Desperate whispers like prayers to deaf gods filled the air. I saw a young man, his face pale and drawn, frantically licking the edges of his circle, his eyes wide with terror. A woman, her face etched with years of hardship, meticulously traced the outline of her triangle with the needle, her movements precise, desperate. Each tick of the clock, each shattered honeycomb, amplified the sense of dread that permeated the air. I closed my eyes, trying to block out the sights and sounds of despair around me. My fingers tightened around the needle, cold metal against my clammy skin. Fear threatened to consume me, to paralyze me, but I had to focus, I had to survive. A flicker of hope amidst the despair. Someone had discovered a way, licking the honeycomb, melting the edges around the shape, a risky strategy, a race against time and the ever-present threat of the guards. The word spread like wildfire, a whisper of hope in the face of certain death. I saw players, their faces a mixture of hope and desperation, frantically licking their honeycomb, their tongues stained red with sugar and fear. The air, thick with the smell of sugar and sweat, crackled with a new energy. A desperate fight for survival. I hesitated, unsure whether to risk it. Licking the honeycomb felt like cheating, a gamble that could cost me my life. But the alternative was almost certain death. I looked at the star, its sharp edges mocking my fear. I had to try. Section 5. The weight of the needle. The weight of the needle felt unbearable, a symbol of hope and despair all at once. Each prick, each careful movement was a gamble, a dance with death. The honeycomb, fragile as a dried leaf, threatened to crumble with each passing second. Time lost all meaning. The world shrunk to the size of the honeycomb in my hand, the intricate lines of the star, my entire universe. Every bead of sweat that dripped onto the surface, every tremor in my hand, felt like a betrayal, a step closer to the abyss. The metallic scent of blood filled my nostrils. A man, his face contorted in agony, lay slumped against the wall, a bullet wound in his forehead. His crime, a broken honeycomb, a stark reminder of the price of failure. The guards, emotionless, dragged his body away, leaving behind a silence more deafening than any gunshot. Despair hung heavy in the air, thick and suffocating. The sound of shattering honeycomb, like gunshots in the eerie silence, sent shivers down my spine. Each crack felt like a blow to my chest, a countdown to my own demise. I saw the hope drain from their eyes, replaced by a chilling emptiness. The weight of failure, the realization of their impending doom, hung heavy in the air. They knew their time was up. A young woman, her face streaked with tears, let out a wail of despair as her circle shattered into 100 pieces. Her shoulders slumped, defeated as she awaited her fate. The guards, ever watchful, moved with a terrifying efficiency, their movements cold and calculated. The sweetness of victory, tinged with the bitterness of survival. A wave of relief washed over me as the star, finally free from its sugary prison, lay trembling in my hand. I had won. I had survived. The taste of sugar, mingled with sweat and fear, had never tasted sweeter. It was a victory not just against the game, but against the despair that threatened to consume us all. I looked around, the enormity of what I had witnessed, of what I had survived, hitting me with full force. The arena, once teeming with life, now resembled a battlefield. Broken honeycomb littered the ground, a testament to the fallen. But amidst the despair, I saw flickers of hope. Players, their faces etched with relief and exhaustion, clutching their hard-won victories. We had survived another round, for now. We were victors, yes, but forever marked by the game. The scars ran deep, etched into our souls. The memory of the fallen, the constant fear, the knowledge that death lurked around every corner. Gone was the naive belief in fairness, in a just world. The game had stripped us bare, exposing the raw desperation that lay beneath the surface. We had tasted our own mortality, and the experience had changed us forever. The weight of survival felt heavier than any burden. We were haunted by the faces of those we had lost, their screams echoing in the silence of our victories. The world outside, once familiar and comforting, now seemed alien, a distant memory we could no longer grasp. Hope and despair intertwined in a macabre dance. The Dalgona game was a grim reminder of our own fragility, of the fickle nature of fate. We had survived this round, yes, but at what cost? The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with danger. But as I looked at the faces of my fellow survivors, I saw a flicker of defiance. We had stared death in the face and emerged, battered, but not broken. We would continue to fight, for ourselves, for each other, for the slimmest chance of freedom. The game was far from over,